The GNU is not gonna give us any peace. So, just after the court case that went really badly for the ANC, I think, the Minister of Finance released a statement saying that the VAT hike we have spoken about in this video and this video is being reversed. Okay, so we are gonna just check what this statement says. Hear Miss Helen Zille's video after this statement, and then get to watch the king of the delinquent GNU, the king of the ANC props, the man whose grandfather taught him how he can reverse the VAT hike, Herman Mashaba, humiliating the 40% party ANC, standing on their stage with his 1 or 2% votes that he has, claiming victory right in front of them. And then what we're going to do is share some few thoughts and a biblical reaction so that you are head and shoulders above everyone who's watching what's going on in the country. And you can preempt what will happen before it happens in the GNU. And lastly, you'll be able to make the right decision going forward so we can have a prosperous country. So if you're ready, press like and let's go right ahead. So there we go. Media statement that the Minister of Finance will introduce a rates bill so that VAT stays at 15% on the 1st of May. All right. And he says this comes purely from consulting with political parties and careful consideration of the recommendations of the parliamentary committees. So that's it. Not because the ANC told him, because he's ANC, not because the GNU has decided, because he's a GNU member, but it's just what parties and parliamentarians said. Straight after this, the DA comes out first with a news conference to talk about it. And this is what Mum Helen Zille, chairperson of the DA, then says.
It's been a long run to this point, but I think today is a cause for celebration because it is the clearest indication yet of what it means to enable a party like the Democratic Alliance, fighting for the people of South Africa, to have the balance of power in the National Parliament. It came as a surprise to me when very late last night I was called by our lawyers to say, we have been approached with a settlement offer by the lawyers for the Minister of Finance. Why did that take me by surprise? Because less than 1 week before that, in his answering affidavit in our court case, the Minister of Finance made it absolutely clear that the VAT increase of 0.5% would go ahead on the 1st of May. I have no doubt that the Minister's legal team went back to him on Wednesday morning, the day after our court case, and said it looks as if it is going to be inevitable that the 0.5% VAT increase that takes effect on the 1st of May could well be set aside by the court. And in that context, it seemed better for the minister to concede before he was perceived to have been forced to by the outcome of the DA's court challenge. Because there's no doubt that the minister, in trying to save face, will seek to present this as the result of his discussions with the smaller parties. The issue that the ANC fears more than anything else is that the public will come to understand the extent of the DA's muscle in holding the balance of power and the impact that we can make both through the political process and then the legal process if the political process proves impermeable as it did this time. And so the DA will now be pushing very hard for the necessary spending review. Long before this process began, we made proposals to the national government on how we could dramatically save money in the current budget to avert and prevent an increase in any form of taxation.
After Ms. Zille said this, about 2 hours later, the ANC organizes a press conference with all 10 parties. Most are in the GNU, but there are 2 more that are not in the GNU. The person that's on stage right now is the IFP representative. He says a few things that says, no, we made the VAT reversal happen. And not the court case that just went badly, but it's just our decisions. And every time the Minister of Finance said it will never change, he was basically lying, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to play you him, but after that, we're going to hear Herman Mashaba take full credit for this. And it's a bit long, but you got to hear it. But more importantly, I want you to watch the reactions, the priceless reactions. And here's what you do while the time happens that he's reading his speech. I want you to write down every time he says ActionSA, and at the bottom you comment how many times did I hear ActionSA on this great ANC stage. The reactions, the scratching, the rolling of eyes. Watch Musi My Money come into the shot and give a look like, no, dude, the script is, without wasting of time. Let's hear from Comrade Khengwa.
Position tomorrow. Either you are in or you are out for the purposes of consistency within what we do in the budgetary processes and in governing generally, so that we can be in a position to resolve the problems. So we conclude by saying that we welcome this development, because initially we had said that the VAT increase was a temporary intervention. It was never meant to be long-term, and the outlook to review was there. And the fact that we have reviewed it even before implementing it speaks to the fact that we have been hard at work trying to find solutions. And that is what we are going to continue doing. What we need to appreciate is that the economy in the country is in dire straits. And moving forward, there will be tough decisions that we have to take. If you look at IMF, amongst others, downgrading or revising downwards, rather, our growth outlook. All those circumstances combined mean that tough decisions lie ahead. But the reality of it is that a budget is a living document, and it has been this collective here that has been able to save the day. And we believe that anybody else who masquerades as the Messiah of this moment outside this collective is wholly misplaced and misguided in terms of what is actually happening. We've been hard at work, and the IFP wants to thank the colleagues for the very difficult and constructive conversations that we have had, and that's what we need to continue doing. We're not going to find our solutions in the courts or in the streets. It's the tough conversations around the table, and today is a victory for South Africans delivered by this collective. Thank you.
Yes, we saved the budget, not the courts, not the streets.
Thank you very much, Comrade Khengwa. May I, at this point, invite the President of ActionSA, Mr. Herman Mashaba.
Tell me below, is it a mistake or not that she calls him Comrade Khengwa? She didn't call anybody else who's not ANC Comrade. Mistake or not? Let's hear.
Members of the media, leaders of political parties, both inside and outside of the GNU, and most importantly, you fellow South Africans. It gives me great pride to say to you today that the VAT increase is gone, thanks to the collective efforts of parties that engage the ANC in total good faith.
You're on the script.
As you have already heard, when South Africans wake up on the 1st of May 2025, Workers' Day, they will pay the same for their goods and services as the day before. This is what ActionSA promised from day one, and it is exactly what this collective here today has delivered. This VAT increase has become a symbol to many South Africans who are heartful and want to see change in their country. Today, we celebrate more than just the scrapping of an unjust tax. The reversal of the VAT increase is a victory that belongs to you, the people of South Africa, and to our maturing multi-party democracy. Let us celebrate that you denied any political party a majority and the power to determine budget unilaterally. Let us celebrate now that because of this, no one party can impose their will on you, the people of our country. Let us celebrate how you spoke out against the VAT increase, how your voice was heard by the parties gathered here today. It is with humility that acknowledge this achievement was made possible by the political parties before you today, who acted on their wishes, unlike those within the GNU who merely claim to fight for you. The parties gathered here today have worked together, both inside and outside the GNU, in the best interest of the South African people.
What does this body language tell you?
However, as the president of ActionSA, let me share our unique perspective and role in shaping of this event. As you know, ActionSA is not a member of the GNU. We respectfully decline the invitation in favor of being a constructive opposition. We said then, as we say now, that ActionSA will lend its support to the government when doing so to save South Africans without holding that back. And we said that would be the point of opposition spear when a tough opposition is required. Over time, ActionSA has become increasingly concerned about the unprecedented budget crisis that has developed under the GNU. Even from the opposition benches, it was clear that our national budget was being held hostage by certain parties within the GNU to negotiate about matters that had absolutely nothing to do with the budget. ActionSA respects the rights of parties in the GNU to negotiate. This is, after all, a cornerstone of a healthy coalition. However, one thing must be made clear. At no point can South Africans or their democratic institution be asked to pay for cheap political point-scoring aspirations. As the famous African proverb says, when the elephant fights, it is the grass that suffers. The uncertainty of this budget crisis took place at a time when our markets were already reacting to tariff imposed against our country, while municipalities were meant to be consulting citizens about how budgets would be used for their service delivery. From day one, ActionSA's decision to intervene was based on resolving this crisis and removing the VAT increase and no other consideration. There have been no discussion about joining the GNU. There have been no position promised to ActionSA. There have been no position sought by ActionSA, and that's important to note. When engaged by the ANC's negotiating team, ActionSA agreed to end the budget crisis by supporting the fiscal framework in Parliament with a strict condition that the VAT increase must be removed. On this was not negotiable. As ventilated in court papers on Tuesday, the VAT Act of 1991 prescribed that VAT would increase on the 1st of May 2025, irrespective of what transpired in Parliament. This was never a dispute. Parliament effectively had two choices to avoid this. Either amend the framework as proposed by the DA, EFF, and MK. That would have set the already delayed budget back months with the imminent 1 May VAT increase. Or, alternatively, pass the framework and work alongside other parties to find revenue alternatives to the 13.5 billion arising from the 0.5% VAT decrease. ActionSA chose the latter as the only pragmatic option to prevent the 1 May VAT increase. And today, that decision has proven to be correct. It was our Member of Parliament, Mr. Alan Besley, who raised the condition for VAT reversal to be placed upon our support for the fiscal framework, which was ultimately adopted by Parliament. In simple terms, ActionSA rejected the budget as long as the VAT increase remained in place.
Yes.
Today, our position has been vindicated.
Yes.
Despite this, what follows was a deliberate and well-funded misinformation campaign that misled you, the South African people, falsely claiming that Action had supported a VAT increase. While some continue to play politics, ActionSA made substantive submissions of revenue alternatives to the finance minister and began a series of engagements with the ANC and other parties. During these engagements, both parties publicly committed to a VAT reversal before the 1st of May 2025. Today, we have witnessed that our objective has become a reality. There will be no VAT increase, not because of any court case that opportunistic parties now seek to falsely claim credit for, but because of principled, good faith negotiations grounded in substance rather than extortionist, unpatriotic, and shamelessly dishonest politicians. It is highly appropriate for me to acknowledge the ANC and the finance minister for their role in our negotiations. Our engagements were conducted in total good faith, with maturity, with the best interest of the people of the country in mind. Nobody attempted to mislead or dupe anyone else, as claimed in some media circles. There was an absolute focus on the budget and nothing else. Let me be clear. The reversal of this VAT increase was not achieved by the parties that were here in court on Tuesday. The VAT reversal was achieved by political parties that were willing to put their differences aside and demonstrate the maturity required to find an alternative to a VAT increase. These parties adopted a fiscal framework with the strict condition that a 30-day period would be used to assess revenue alternative to a VAT increase. During this period, we actively participated in submitting alternatives around which engagements were held to explore their viability. The announcement by the minister this morning and this press conference takes place within the context of that process. It is indeed quite bizarre that opposition parties outside the GNU had to step in and negotiate what a particular political party inside the GNU preferred to pursue through the courts. What bizarre. That is a matter for the GNU to address, not a concern for ActionSA. Ultimately, the coalition future of South Africa is based upon political parties with majorities having to work together to achieve positive outcomes for the South African people. As many of you will recall, ActionSA used to adopt a position of defining itself against other parties, declaring which parties we would work and wouldn't work with. We have matured since then. We have come to realize that in a world of coalition politics, ActionSA must be willing to work with the political parties that can best serve the South African people. Look no further for the benefits of this approach than in our capital city of Tshwane, where Dr. Nasipi Moya and the multi-party coalition government she leads are turning a city that has failed over many years. Look no further than the fact that VAT will not increase on the 1st of May. We made this commitment and we have delivered on it. The reality is that ActionSA has achieved more with its 6 seats outside the GNU than much larger parties that have achieved while fighting their own government at the expense of the South African people. Ladies and gentlemen, many of you will know that my grandfather played a critical role and significant role in my upbringing following the death of my father when I was just 2 years old. You have likely heard me share this many times, how he taught me to listen what people say, but to trust what they actually do. It is in this spirit that I can now account to the South African people. First, ActionSA stood unwavering in its opposition to the VAT increase from the moment it was announced. Second, ActionSA made a commitment to the South African people against all odds that would work to stop VAT increase on the 1st of May. Working with these parties, ActionSA has delivered on this commitment. And I'd really like to thank the South African people who were prepared to listen, to reason, than really listen to sensation. Thank you very much.
The next person, I'm only playing you the joke because he went overtime as well.
Thank you very much from ActionSA, Mr. Mashaba. At this point, I'll call on the Patriotic Alliance, which is represented by Mr. Kenny Wunene. Thank you.
So Kenny Gunene starts with a joke because he had taken more time than allocated.
I'll be very short. I think Mr. Mashaba has taken some of my time.
Okay, so they laugh because he took longer than the other people and went off script and just took the stage and did guerrilla marketing for ActionSA and pretty much started off saying it's all of us, ends up saying it's us. I've delivered what I've promised you. So here's the question. Do we pay VAT on the first or do we not? Is it legal to not pay it? Is it legal to pay it? Please listen for yourself and you tell me at the bottom if do you really get it? Is it legal or illegal to pay VAT? You advise. I don't know.
Joining me in this conversation is Dr. Dumisani Janjis, who is the Executive Director of the Parliamentary Budget Office. You obviously don't speak for Parliament. For the benefit of our viewers again, the narrative that you need to pass the rates bill in order to give effect to the reversal, are you saying it wrong? In other words, are you saying that come the 1st of May, the VAT will remain at 15%? I want us to do it in simple terms.
Okay, I'm trying to explain here because I know this is a very contentious issue, so I'm trying to not to be overly simplistic, but also understand the dynamics around it. But what I'm saying is that the Minister of Finance has a power given to him by Public Financial Management Act and VAT Act to make changes and to make announcements. So what I'm saying is that in terms of the announcement he's made yesterday morning and followed through by the bill, he's made announcements that the VAT will remain 15%. In terms of the law that governs him and powers he have, it has to be given effect to. Obviously, the second part which you're asking is whether there has to be the bill passed yet. The VAT Act says he has 12 months to give effect to that. I mean, to Parliament, it says 12 months to be able to pass that. So then it will remain 15% as it was until such a time whether there are changes by Parliament or whatever the case may be. But of course, in this case, it's just reverting back to where it was originally, which again, it's rescinding the previous amendments by giving this other amendment. So in my sense, my understanding, that's what the law allows the minister to do. And my understanding, again, in terms of the law and the processes of budget process which we advise on, the VAT will be set at 20% until any further changes takes place. Because now we have the bill in front of Parliament. Parliament can change the bill, which has to follow the money-based process if there are any changes that will be taking place.
Okay, I don't know. You know, do we pay it on the, is it reversed or is it not? Are we breaking the law together with the minister if we don't pay the VAT? You know, at least when we saw them clap in Parliament, we know that's law, but now we're hearing, I don't know. You tell me below, do we pay VAT or not? And when we don't, are we just like we are doing crime, but it's not our fault because the minister told us to do it? So what is going on? What's really the issue? Because this you will realize and experience this for as long as the GNU goes. Here's the thing. The DA believes in negotiation. The ANC believes that negotiation is a necessary evil. The PA believes in negotiation. I don't mean they do it all the time, but I mean their philosophy is that negotiation is a good thing. The EFF does not believe in negotiation. The MK does not believe in negotiation. They see it as oppressive. All the parties that are Marxists see negotiations as practice, but at least the ANC sees it as a necessary evil to push forward the revolution. The DA believes negotiation is how you get things done. The Freedom Front believes negotiations are how you get things done. The IFP believes in negotiations are how you get things done. They may not do it all the time, but their philosophy is that negotiations are good. The Marxists believe negotiations are oppressive. Why? Because Marxist philosophies says I am a victim and I am going up against an oppressive system, and my brief is to destroy that system. So therefore, they cannot ever negotiate. That's why the GNU will be drama along these lines. The believers in negotiations who don't see negotiation as oppression, and the ones who see negotiation as how you reach agreement, right? So here's what happens. If you see yourself as a victim, you negotiate like a beggar, where you cry and whine and demand, or like a protester, where you bully and push and break, and not like a deal maker. Now, you will see this all the time with all Marxist parties. They will never be able to negotiate. They're either victims begging for what they want, or they are bullies just pushing and breaking, but they can't be deal makers. So a victim negotiates like this. Please recognize my suffering. Apartheid has affected me. Fix me. Give me back. Give me an apology. A victim of injustice. And a deal maker says, I bring something to the table. I have options, which is why the DA has taken many blows in the GNU, because they took away options by saying we are stopping a doomsday coalition. But negotiation says, I bring something to the table. I have options. I could leave or walk away, and I have leverage. So let's make something happen that pleases both of us. That's a deal maker. Now, every time the DA does this, Marxists will say they are pompous, they are pushy, they think because they are white, they are superior, they are bossy, and all of that. Anyone who's under a victim mentality cannot then look at what are my options and what's my leverage. Their only leverage is being victims. And so that's why it falls apart. Where does it come from? It has a source. It comes from Marxism. Classical Marxists, like Karl Marx himself, views negotiation as a temporary necessity, but ultimately believes that revolution is inevitable, meaning he must destroy the whole system. So according to classical Marxists, the oppressed might win small gains through negotiations, but these victories are not viewed as any kind of progress, because they believe real change comes when the oppressed seizes political and economic power. And so negotiations are just reformism, they call it. And it's a band-aid on a whole broken system. Our point is to take it all, break it all down, and rebuild a whole new world. That's where they go for. Now, that's classical Marxists. Now, the Marxist-Leninists, which the EFF say they are, I think the MK say they are, Lenin argued that the evil capitalist systems will never allow real equality through negotiation. So you only use negotiation tactically to buy time, to gain advantage, and to divide enemies while preparing for a violent overthrow. This is the philosophy of the EFF. This is also what we heard from Balula when going into the GNU, that this is a tactical move so that we can take power again. So you only pretend to negotiate, but never stop organizing to overthrow the system. This is Marxist-Leninism. Now, the ANC are democratic Marxists, hence the National Democratic Revolutions. They believe that negotiation and reform can gradually transform capitalism into socialism without violent revolution. So they will then support unions, they'll support voting, they'll support welfare reforms, regulation changes. So they do the boil the frog slowly and so on, all through democratic and legal matters. But they don't believe in negotiations. Now there's a fight, because when the ANC does this, goes into GNU to use negotiation to push the revolution, of course, the ones to the left, the Communist Party, came out and said ANC is sold out. The EFF will come out and say, you're scared of white people. The MK will come out and say, you have rejected the revolution and black parties. So the radicals will accuse them democratic Marxists of selling them out and prolonging capitalism instead of ending it, because they want to blow it up right now. Having said all that, here's the thing. The ANC, EFF, MK do not believe in negotiation. They do not believe in, I have options, I have leverage, I bring something to the table, let's go back and forth. They call that what? Oppression. Why? Because victims cannot ever negotiate. And Marxist parties believe that they are victims. Oh no, but they're billionaires. Yes, a billionaire victim. But they are millionaires. Yes, millionaire victims. The philosophy that informs all of their actions is Marxism, which says they are the victims and the system is the oppressor. So that's why from now till the end, you will not find a proper back and forth negotiation. And where you and I are left is where I think where we are left is at, we might be doing a crime on May the 1st by not paying 15.5% VAT, but at least we're doing the crime because our minister told us to. And that's our defense, because it's all so unclear. What does that tell me? That tells me rule of law is on knife's edge. Rule of law goes up, prosperity goes up. Rule of law goes down, unemployment goes up, jobs go down, economic growth goes down. So I'm going to give you my biblical reaction and close. So here's the thing. Negotiation is how you make things happen. Jesus said, agree with your adversary quickly. Come to terms with your opponent quickly while you are on the way with him. In other words, while there's time to negotiate and come to terms and come to an agreement, just get on with the negotiation. The struggle in the GNU is the DA negotiates, ANC goes to other parties outside of the GNU, then one of those parties comes and claims victory and says, I did it, my grandfather told me how, and humiliates them like crazy because they don't want to come to terms quickly, not because they don't want to, their philosophy tells them not to. Lest your adversary deliver you to the judge and hand you over to the officer and you be thrown into prison. So here's what I'm saying. For the prosperity of our nation, please share the video, tell a friend to tell a friend. Please do not vote for a Marxist party. Why? They can never negotiate to get decent outcomes that don't get the whole country into legal trouble together with its leadership, because they will do things like force through a law and then try block it and then change their mind, and it'll always be a mess because they don't believe in negotiation. Pretty good, isn't it? If it is, then cling cling, ring the bell so you don't miss the next video. Check out this video where we talked about this tax matter. Check out this one as well where we talked about this VAT matter. And as I close, you cannot serve God and Karl Marx. No man can serve two masters. Either he will love the one and hate the other, or he'll respect the one and disrespect the other. You cannot, child of God, serve God and Karl Marx. Do not vote for the EFF. Do not vote for the ANC. Do not vote for the MK unless you don't like prosperity. Then go for it. Let's make history together. Cheers.